Prime Minister has moved to caution Australians that easing restrictions is still many weeks away. Scott Morrison this morning was full of praise for frontline healthcare workers, but said that now isn't the time to relax.
We have to be very careful because we do not want to see the horror show that we've seen in so many other parts of the world visited upon Australians. And I think Australians are very aware of that risk, and that's why I think they've been so patient and they've been so diligent.
National Cabinet will meet later this week and is already planning ways to slowly reopen business and restart the economy. The Prime Minister was responding after the World Health Organization released some guidelines on ways to start normal life. Let's go live now to Canberra with Olivia Leeming. Hello, Olivia. What are these guidelines?
Well, and these are strict criteria that countries are being urged to meet before they even consider lifting social restrictions, including firstly ensuring that transmission is controlled, that their health system can treat and trace every case, minimising outbreak risks, managing importation risks and educating communities so they can adapt to the new norm. The World Health Organization warning easing restrictions too early risks another deadly resurgence of the virus. The Prime Minister remaining cautious as he prepares to discuss Australia's eventual exit strategy with the states this week, with a focus on reviving industries with the lowest health risk.
Broader travel, I think, is also very dangerous. But, you know, we need to get our construction industry going, our infrastructure programs, our manufacturing industries, all of these industries, our agricultural sector.
Olivia, what impact are these ongoing restrictions having on jobs in Australia?
Well, new Treasury analysis released just this morning predicts that the unemployment rate will double in the June quarter to reach 10%. So some 1.4 million Australians expected to be out of work. Many of those casuals, so haven't been with the same employer for more than a year. They are not eligible for the government's JobKeeper wage subsidy. The Prime Minister concedes while it is a devastating figure that a further 700,000 would be jobless without the government's relief efforts, but still Australia facing its highest unemployment rate in 26 years.
Yeah, frightening numbers. Thank you very much, Olivia. A crew member has been rushed off the Ruby Princess in a medical emergency this morning. The 24-year-old was suffering appendicitis, but it's also been confirmed he is one of the ship's staff who has COVID-19. Samantha Brett is in Port Kembla, south of Sydney.
Well, the problems just keep on mounting for the Ruby Princess, which continues to be docked here at Port Kembla. Overnight, a crew member, a 24-year-old man, was taken off the ship and rushed to hospital with suspected appendicitis. New South Wales Health has confirmed that that crew member does have COVID-19. That brings the total number of crew members with the virus to 66. Meantime, that criminal investigation into the debacle continues. The Police Commissioner this morning saying that this investigation simply can't go any faster, that there are hundreds, if not thousands of people that need to be interviewed.
And this is a large-scale investigation and the officers are doing obviously the best they can as quickly as they can without compromising the integrity of the investigation.
The ship being here in Port Kembla has certainly angered locals. It was supposed to leave by Thursday, but that is now up in the air considering just how many people on board need urgent medical attention.
We already have the police inquiry, we already have the coroner looking at this issue. Let me please be clear, we won't leave a single stone unturned.
700 passengers who've disembarked from the Ruby Princess have now tested positive to COVID-19 and 18 people have lost their lives.
A deep clean has been authorised for 2 hospitals in northwest Tasmania where an outbreak of COVID-19 has been identified. More than 1,200 staff and at least 4,000 family members have been ordered into quarantine for 2 weeks. The Ruby Princess cruise ship is believed to be the original source of the outbreak. The Chief Medical Officer says was spread further by healthcare workers at an illegal dinner party.
We've seen down in Tasmania what can go wrong when some practices aren't followed. These are extraordinary times and people are under a lot of pressure. And so when things don't go the way we would like them to go, we've got to pick ourselves up and just keep going forward.
Australia, medical assistance teams, usually deployed to disaster zones, have been sent in to provide health services. At least 40 Defence Force personnel will also be arriving in Burnie today to assist with the cleaning. A childcare centre south of Brisbane has been forced to close with fears of a coronavirus outbreak. Parents and staff have been told an infected person believed to be a child attended the centre while contagious. Bianca Stone has more.
There has been a confirmed case of COVID-19 here at the Early Birds Childcare Centre in Jimboomba. It's understood it was a child who tested positive. The centre has now closed temporarily. A deep clean will be undertaken. Earlier this morning, a contractor wearing a hazmat suit and carrying a gas mask arrived at the centre to do an inspection. Anyone who had contact with that infected person has now been ordered to self-isolate for 14 days. A letter was sent to parents and also staff members advising them of the confirmed case, also telling them that the person who was infected was unknowingly contagious at this centre for 4 days, including the 1st and 2nd and 8th and 9th of April. The letter does go on to say that it should not reflect negatively on the centre or the person. Anyone can catch this virus. This latest outbreak comes as Queensland school students prepare to return to school, although most will be doing it remotely.
We struck the right balance. We've got our schools open for essential workers. The teachers will be at school, but those students that will be at home will get online learning.
For the first 5 weeks of Term 2 here in Queensland, students will be learning from home. After that, a decision will be made whether to resume normal classes. There's been 11 new coronavirus cases here in Queensland overnight. That brings our total to 998.
Thanks, Bianca. New South Wales has announced a new same-day service for people who were tested for coronavirus and found to be negative.
That will be a huge relief to you and your family, but also allow you not to be in self-isolation if that's what you've been doing.
The state has some of the highest rates of testing in the world, with more than 142,000 people so far checked and cleared. With nearly all of its domestic flights grounded, Virgin Australia has put its shares on the stock market into a trading halt. The company, which is 90% foreign-owned, is trying to restructure $5 billion worth of debt and has asked the federal government for a $1.4 billion bailout. The airline says it'll have an announcement after considering various financial options. Donald Trump has once again lashed out at the media, this time defending his handling of the coronavirus crisis. The US president used his daily task force briefing to hit back at criticism. US Bureau Chief Ashley Mullaney has more.
As the death toll from the coronavirus rose, Donald Trump launched an attack on the media today, defending his handling of the pandemic in a heated exchange. The first 40 minutes of the daily coronavirus briefing were dedicated to the president's defence, at one point playing a montage of news clips produced by the White House in which the governors praised his handling of the pandemic.
Why did you feel need to do that? Because we're getting fake news and I like to have it corrected. I'll bet you I have over 100 more clips. Even better than them.
With the number of cases and deaths plateauing, attention has turned to how America could possibly reopen the economy. Speaking from the White House, Donald Trump said he has absolute authority to lift restrictions on businesses. New York's governor, meanwhile, has formed a coalition with 6 neighbouring states to develop their own strategy on when and how to reopen, saying if done too early, it could pour fuel on the fire.
You want to shift the responsibilities in the relationship? Fine. I'm open to that. Explain to me what I do, what they do, who does purchasing, who pays, who does testing. I can't. Open what, open it when, open it how.
While the number of lives lost dropped in New York yesterday, the toll is still more than 10,000, accounting for almost half the deaths in the United States.